In this operation video, I'm going to show you the abdominoplasty with VASER Liposuction, post-pregnancy and with a diastasis recti repair. It's patient 2025-1000. I also include the 12 months post-surgery before and after. So I'll show you the before and afters first, and then we'll go into the actual operation. Now, when I do an abdominoplasty, usually it's going to be an incision that goes past the hips, especially if it's got a lot of loose skin. Post-pregnancy tends to be very, very different from post-weight loss. Post-pregnancy patients, in my experience, have better skin quality, which means that they have a better redraping of the abdomen and do tend to get a little bit better results than the post-weight loss patients. The indication tends to be a little bit different as well. It tends to be more towards the diastasis versus just loose skin. This patient was 33 years old, 69 kilograms of weight, and was 165 centimeters tall. BMI was 25.3. So in this operation, obviously we are doing the VASER liposuction or ultrasonic suction assisted lipectomy, and you do that throughout the whole abdomen, including the mons area. So one common question I get from patient is, do you lift the mons area as well? And yes, pretty much all of the abdominoplasties. When I cut the skin off, I took on the right side 673 grams and on the left side 728 grams. With the liposuction, I took 1,400 mils of fat, which equates to 1.4 kilograms of fatty tissue, adipose tissue. She had 4 centimeters of diastasis recti, which we repaired in the operation as well. All operations have risks, so there's, as with this one, so the most common tends to be wound-related stuff, but numbness on the bottom, nerve issues, shooting pains, infection, bleeding, scarring, hematoma, bleeding, all possible, and you get extensive information about the potential complications when you come and see me. The recovery is also quite extensive after this operation, so you can have 2 weeks of intense recovery, which is when you come in to see me in the rooms and my nurse, dressing changes, wound care, that sort of thing, and that's when you're having the most amount of discomfort. Once you get through the 2 weeks, generally you're able to drive. Obviously it varies from patient to patient, but generally you're able to drive, go back to desktop work and working from home, but usually 4 weeks is what I recommend if you want to go back to full work as well. Exercise starting from 2 weeks, very, very, very gentle, but you're walking the next day straight off. I usually tell everyone from 3 months onwards that that's when so from 3 months post-surgery onwards is when you can sort of go back to doing all the things you did before the surgery. So let's have a look at the before and afters, and then we'll have a look at the operation. These are the before and after images for this woman. It's a VASER liposuction abdominoplasty that I performed. So the before and afters are 12 months after surgery, and it's post-pregnancy with diastasis recti repair. These are the protective ports that I put in before I put in the VASER. And before we do the VASER, we usually put the wetting solution in, which has the adrenaline and the local anesthetic in. The ports protect the skin because the VASER is an ultrasonic probe that vibrates at a really high frequency. So if we don't put the ports in, there's a high risk of the area getting burned.
You see here I'm focusing on the flank area as well as throughout the abdomen, and this is a pretty standard post-pregnancy abdominoplasty with diastasis recti repair. Once we've done the liposuction, we will do suction-assisted lipectomy. We start with the abdominoplasty part of things. The VASER Liposuction or ultrasonic suction-assisted lipectomy takes about 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on the amount of fat that we are removing. The first part of the abdominoplasty, as you can see here, are the release of the umbilicus. So we are releasing around that, and then I'm adding a little plastic part of the drain, which I call the belly button detection device. But that just helps me find that belly button, because otherwise the belly button is soft, so you can't really tell where it is. So that one helps me as I'm dissecting the tissues to actually find where the belly button is. And it's also used when we're pulling down the tissues to locate where we're going to create a new hole for the belly button. As you can see here, when I'm doing the lower abdominal incision, there is the wetting solution, which is the wet stuff, and also the little holes that we have created with the suction-assisted lipectomy and the ultrasonic VASER liposuction. You see the little holes that are in the tissues, and it does create quite a bit of a dissection as you're doing the lipo, so it makes it a lot quicker to actually do the dissection. You can see how the blood vessels have been spared from the liposuction, and we can identify those quite easily in the tissues. It's really important in all parts of the operation that we are sealing the blood vessels and tying them off, so we don't get a problem with hematoma after the surgery. You can see the little whitish tissue against the yellow fat tissue. The whitish tissue is the fascia, also referred to as the Scarpa's fascia.
Yep, so you've got the belly button here, here.
I'm dividing the two right and the left part of the abdominal flap here, to then pull down that skin all the way to the mons pubis area.
That's the belly button here.
And usually the dissection goes up to the level of the umbilicus, and then I start creating what's called an epigastric tunnel, which is where the diastasis recti is, and that's dissected all the way up to the rib area. I'm trying to preserve the lateral perforating blood vessels on the side, that they go through the abdominal fascia. They are very close to where I'm dissecting. And the more I can preserve those blood vessels, the better blood supply there will be to the skin. And blood vessels are usually followed by nerves. So if I'm preserving the blood vessels, you should get a better sensation after the surgery as well. There's also a balancing act between not dissecting enough, which then you get problems with folded skin, but if you dissect too much, then you get blood supply issues.
Here, muscles here and here, so that's the muscle separation here and here. Do a new line.
So that's the midline, and that's the medial border of the rectus abdominis muscle, where I can see it in the fascia.
I'm going to measure stick. About 6 centimeters. And another 6 centimeters underneath there.
This is a diastasis recti repair. I'm using a 1 V-lock suture. It's really important here to not take too deep of a bite, and I want to stay just at the superficial abdominal fascia, because we don't want to trap nerves, we don't want to trap muscle fibers, and also we don't want to go so deep that we're kind of risking injuring the bowel underneath there. So it's a bit of a balancing act, but at the same time you want a deep enough bite so that you don't get any recurrence of the diastasis recti after the surgery. So here I'm just catching that edge of that medial part of the rectus abdominis.
see that's the muscle separation up here. We'll fix that one here.
And this is a looped barbed suture and is permanent, so this will stay there forever. You can see as I'm bringing in that diastasis recti, it does cause a little bit of pulling of the skin, so you get a doming of the skin. So we want to make sure that that is flattened out before we continue with the operation.
Relax there.
Here I can feel that plastic piece of tube that I stitched to the umbilicus here, and then that gives me the position of the new umbilicus, and I'm creating a hole where I'm going to pull through that the patient's own umbilicus through that new hole, and that's where the new umbilical position is going to be. I usually take a bit of a cone-shaped part of the skin and subcutaneous tissues underneath, because that creates that little depression that you get in the umbilical area, and that creates a better result in my opinion. So I've stitched 4 stitches, PDS sutures, which are absorbable, but they take about 3 to 6 months to absorb. And I stitched them around the umbilicus so I can pull down that skin around the abdominal wall down onto the umbilicus. And that stabilizes the umbilicus. Here I'm doing my progressive tension sutures. So they are sutures that go into the scarpa's fascia and pull that superior abdominal flap down towards the mons pubis area. So when I'm doing the abdominoplasty, I want to put tension on the upper part of the skin, pulling it down, versus just using the mons pubis as the anchor for the tension. So the mons pubis is usually ptotic or low-lying in a lot of patients, and we do want to lift it up, but we don't want to lift it up so much that it becomes abnormal. So that way, by providing those tension sutures and application sutures, I can control where I put the mons pubis area. Here I'm marking out the excess skin, and you can see here I'm doing that on both sides, so I can compare and see make sure that they're even on both sides. I usually go to the maximum amount of tension first, and then I pull back about 1 centimeter. You can see the 2 lines there, just to get a little bit less tension on the incision line, to hopefully then get a better scar at the end.
Left side. This one. Drop the scarpa's fascia here. Okay, so film the weight of it.
728 grams.
And then we're doing the right side.
Right side here. Okay, so let's film that.
673.
I do about 4 layers of suturing. So there's a deep layer that goes to the scarpa's fascia that puts tension. That's the tension layer. Then we do a couple of superficial rows and then a subcuticular.